Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Girl Boss Method podcast hosted by myself, Ritu Bra. Now, for today's episode, I have a very special guest on board, and this episode might be slightly different to potentially what you've heard from the program or the podcast so far. I'm actually speaking to a relationship and dating coach, if you like. She's a business owner. She's been working in this for about a year now, and her name is Jess Kalsi. So, Jess, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Really excited to have this conversation with you. It is very different, but I'd love you to just give me a quick 60-second overview of who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thank you, Rishi, for having me. Thank you for that intro. It's very kind. So I'm Jess. I'm actually a matchmaking entrepreneur. That's my official title by trade. But a lot of what I do does come with lots of coaching as well. So I cover things like relationship, confidence, career coaching, anything that people want to kind of enhance in their life to make it better. I look at that for them as well. But majority of what I do is that I create magic for people that are looking for their happily ever after. I make romantic introductions to people. And again, it's for their journey of love, right? And it's having them find their happiness with someone.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. And so I guess knowing that you help people with their like confidence, their like their self-confidence, their backing themselves, their enthusiasm or knowing who they are. I'm just throwing words out here, but I'm just thinking about the way that you take someone through a like mental transformation as well, and how you get them believing in themselves and believing that like love can happen and relationships can happen. I know that what happens in like this day and age, you could say, and maybe from a lot of South Asian women as well, is that we kind of go through our 20s like really working on our careers, for example. Everything's about education, and perhaps maybe the dating scene has started and then it's just not quite happened yet. And then as you get older, there does seem to be this like stigma of being left on the shelf, right? Mm-hmm. And then thinking, well, how can I be attractive to anybody because I'm X age, and will someone want to be with me because I'm older, and kids have happened or kids have not happened, and like we're very split now in society, where I feel like men, we don't want kids versus want kids. I think there's like definitely a lot more people that are very open-minded about that not ever happening. But I'm sure there are people that are still very fixated on it. And so I feel like there's this big transition now that we're going through, if you like, in society, where, the stigma is becoming less and less. I know that certainly in my age group as well, and even slightly younger, people are, they've had relationships from young. They got married at 20 and then they're divorced, and they're almost like starting again, and they're back on the scene, and it's navigating a new world all over again and being older. And I think first thing I want to talk to you about is like maybe even like the stigma and the age. Like, what's your experience with all of that?
100%. I mean, a lot of it, I think you've got to think about when we were growing up, right? I mean, we're both the same age. Congratulations, by the way, on the big birthday. I'm not going to say it on here in case people don't know, but we're both the same age now. But obviously, when our parents were growing up, it was a case of you go through education, you find a steady, stable job, and as a woman, you would then get married to a man and start a family pretty much immediately. I mean, my mother was 27 and already had 3 kids, aged 5, 3, and a newborn. And at 27, what was I doing? I was traveling the world. I was a dancer. I was in a part-time recruitment job. I was living life. Now I'm 40 and I think, wow, I don't have children. I was married. I'm now divorced. However, I'm now with a partner where actually the balance works for us, and we don't come in with that stigma of this is how society used to be. Obviously, we're both Asian too, but we don't put that pressure on ourselves to say, we have to live how our parents used to. We have to have the whole family dynamic and setup. And I think a lot of what has changed with people is that society and cultural things can often impact on people wanting to get into something romantic at a later age in life, because they're so fixated on how their parents used to do it and how society was brought up in their day and age. And I also think that it's one of those things that if you are going to be entering into a romantic relationship, you can't have a criteria of, I'm running out of time, I'm an older woman now, I can't really meet someone who doesn't want to have kids, I have to have children because of my biological clock. Whereas again, in this day and age, because times have changed, you get career-minded women now that are a lot more independent, saying, if I meet an older man or I meet somebody who's already got kids, that works for me because I actually just really want to be a mother. I don't have to go through the pregnancy or, go through the birth and have the child myself, but I'd like to have a family. So again, just touching on what you said there, it's hit and miss with a lot of my clients. A lot of my younger clientele, anyone kind of aged between 25 and 35 is going to be, especially if they're a female, I want to meet somebody who does want a family. That's my journey in starting. However, a lot of my older generation of clientele, men and women, have been married, divorced, and got children, either young age or older age kids. But again, who am I going to match them with? Somebody that's also come from that. And that's what they're looking for as well. They're happy to say, if he's also divorced or if she's also divorced, but they've got kids, I'm good with that. So again, it also depends on like the person's journey in their life and kind of where they're at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. And I think it's the expectations that I think you place on yourself as an individual. Because I know that certainly when I was younger, I always thought, right, at 29, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to be married, and X is going to happen, and that's it. I'll live happily ever after. And yeah, I'll go and teach, I don't know, spinning or like exercise, classes like legs, bums, and tums in the evening or something. Like literally in my head, as a fitness instructor, when I started and I joined the industry and I was like 18, 19 years old, I had that in my mind that, oh yeah, this is a great industry to be in because I can look after the kids, I can go and like teach in the evening and stuff. And life changes and it throws curveballs and it doesn't always follow that pattern. Now in my family, I'm actually one of four. My two of my sisters, they've both got kids. So like that box has been ticked off in terms of my parents being grandparents. And actually, as I've got older, I've really enjoyed being like very free and having my own time and my own schedule. I did work with kids previously, so I was a gymnastics coach, and we'd always joke, me and the sort of my co-workers or my co-coaches, that the kids that we had and we taught, because we would literally take them on like competitions abroad and performances and things, that they were almost like our kids, and then we just give them back. So it was, I feel like I've had that journey of nephews and nieces growing up. My oldest nephew is like 18 now, so I've seen that growth process, and I've almost been like that sort of that auntie, that mum figure in some ways, that mentor as well. Like I feel like there's things that they might talk to me about that maybe they might not talk to my sisters about. Like there's different things that I can offer as an adult and as an auntie, which I think has been really amazing as well. So I definitely feel grateful for having that journey. And it's kind of taken obviously there's no pressure for me to have kids, and B, I'm like, I love life right now. I love what I do and the freedom I've got. And I've built my own business, obviously the Girl Boss Method. And I'm coaching women through their fitness, their nutrition, their lifestyles. I still see a little bit of clientele in person as well. I've got the Pilates going on as well. So I'm helping people like that. And work for me, as it is, I'm sure for you, is literally all day long, every day, 7 days a week. And I literally call myself like 7-Eleven, like literally I'm like Tesco Express. Like I'm always working, but I'm so passionate about this and I love it. And I'm just waiting for this to like just grow and flourish and just be able to help more women as well on their fitness journey. And so, yeah, I feel like that's the kid thing has kind of like whatever. And I met my current partner. We've been together 5 years this year. I met 5 years ago. We've been through the lockdown COVID era together. We've come out. We've been living together now for a good few years. I mean, probably, almost as long as lockdown, probably about 4 years really. But yeah, everything's good. We're both in the fitness industry, and we just like the freedom of being able to do things on our own terms. So I don't know. Some people might call that a selfish, but is your partner into fitness?
He is, yeah. I mean, he's done lots more martial arts, let's say, way back when. But again, does training on a daily basis, has taught me a few things. It's more it's very skillful because it's a form of martial arts. It's a lot more in terms of combat style training. But then I also grew up with my father, who was a massive fan of karate and judo. But I mean, me being a princess, one of three, girls, as I was raised, being raised by
be more alike, because I'm one of three girls as well.
Amazing. Middle child.
Middle, yes. Middle of the girls.
High fiving.
Oh, high five.
Yeah, so I mean, my father would definitely, pull us out in the back garden and say, right, we're going to do this today. And I'd be like, no, I want to sit and paint my nails, or I want to watch TV. I want to do girly things. I don't want to do it. But then I obviously grew up and I got into kickboxing. So I would often get home really pumped and go to my dad and be like, let me spar with you. And he'd come at me and I'm like, I'm scared. And he's like, I'm going to teach you. I've been wanting to teach you this for a while. This is how you do it. It's going to get this up for you and your fitness and all of this. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm ready. So yeah, I mean, I grew up with my father now, he's a professional hockey player still, and he's 70 plus. And I watch that. Yeah. And I think, why do I struggle to wake up and do a yoga workout for myself? Why do I struggle to do a run for 2K? It's nothing. Or, why do I struggle to do 10 squats? And I look at a man like that and I think, this is someone who is still at that age determined to keep his fitness at the right level for him. But I mean, he loves it. He lives it, he breathes it, and all the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of do a little bit. I dabble in that, but majority of my fitness is based on dance because I'm a professional dancer. So yeah, there's always going to be fitness and dance and martial arts kind of going on at home, I guess.
And that's the partner that you've picked as well. Like if they're into martial arts, so there's a theme there, that you've met the person that you're with and you've got something in common. Me and my partner are both gym bros, if you like. We like lifting weights, although I do have other forms of training that I enjoy as well, like Pilates, for example. We are very much, we'll go to the gym and we're into like being quite active outside of the gym as well. So we love walking, and yeah, we're just all about trying to live a healthy lifestyle. And that's where we get on and we do match, if you like. And we met because I showed up at his gym, the gym that he works at, and some other people that I was training with, they were members there and they knew him really well. We followed each other on Instagram, and then we did actually link Tinder. But I would say that the key thing for us, and I think what really kind of drew me into him was, I love that someone's into fitness and they're into looking after themselves, but he just had great chat. There was definitely a lot to learn about him. And I think that's also what keeps things interesting. I think if you are really centered on building who you are as an individual, having a personality, having hobbies, that can really help create that attractiveness when you do meet someone, because you'll find someone who's on your level. And Absolutely. I think that's really important. So it does kind of bring me on to the next thing. And I was having a think about this, Jess, because although this podcast is only like, I don't know, a year old or so, and again, the Girl Boss method as well is similarly around that sort of age. I've been in the industry like 20 plus years. Pre-COVID, and I think I want to say it was like maybe 2017, I went on a YouTube podcast series and I did a couple of episodes, and I was thinking about this, before we kind of book this date in together, or when I knew that was coming up. And that was all about attractiveness and you know, finding a partner. And actually, you know, is the way that somebody looks important? And I would say yes, in some ways. You want to be attracted to them, but for me, a big thing for me is fitness, right? Like, obviously that's because that's what I live, breathe, and do. But my co-partner has to be fit. They have to care about their health and their fitness, because I am all about longevity as well. So I want to ask you basically, how important is fitness, or talking about fitness, to the women that you coach, for example, when it comes to setting them up to like find their ideal?
Sure.
That apart.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of women that I speak to will often say to me, I find it difficult to go to the gym. I find it difficult to commit to something where I've really got to put in the hard graft. I'm really going to be painting during this session. I don't enjoy it. It's more of a chore. It's not something that is fun for me. And a lot of the time I'm like, listen, if you are telling me that you want a man who looks great on your arm and is very attractive, has got a great job, looks after himself, isn't someone that you'd look at and think, wow, this guy's really 50. Oh my God, he looks incredible, because he takes care of himself physically, you have to do the same. And unfortunately, and you know, a lot of women may disagree with me, but unfortunately, as women, we do have our lazy days more than men do. And I think the reason being is because we find it easier to curl up on the couch, eat junk food, and watch Netflix and just binge a good murder documentary, let's say, or something, you know, quite random. However, men are very much more disciplined, because it's harder for a man to seem like he's massively attractive to a woman. Women generally are quite attractive. We have certain assets that men don't. We dress a certain way that men can't, you know, dress in either. And we pride ourselves in how we look. You know, women spend a lot of money in salons, getting their hair done, getting their nails done, putting on makeup, looking their best. However, when they've done all of that, but they look internally and they say, actually, I don't go to the gym, I don't work out, I don't look after my health, I eat lots of junk food, I watch trash on TV, I'm not attracting the right person, then they come to me saying, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting that high level caliber of man? You know, why am I not getting the guy that is going to take me out, is going to wine and dine me, is going to tell me that I'm beautiful? And the reality is, I don't paint a fluffy picture for them. I'm not one of these fluffy coaches that will be like, you know, you've got this, you know, girl power, all of that. I say it where it's due, and I will give credit where it's due. And if my clients say to me, do you know what, Jess, because of you, I've now joined a gym, or I'm doing yoga every day, or I'm putting myself through that turmoil and that trauma. However, at the end of it, I'm that one step closer to finding that high value man that I want. I'm that one step closer of being the woman that I want to be. So I do tell it very direct and very real, especially with my female clients. And if it is that you want it, you have to go out and get it, and you have to be consistent. Because if you don't have consistency with your rituals and your behaviors that's going to drive the right outcome that you want, you're going to fail at the first hurdle. If you wake up on a Monday and you say, right, it's 8 a.m. Can I really be bothered? It's raining outside. I'll do the gym tomorrow. It's fine. What you're doing there is you're taking not just one step back, you're going back 10 steps, because it's taken you that 10 drastic steps to get to that point of saying, I've set my alarm on purpose. I'm going to get up early. I'm going to have a shower. I'm going to go to the gym. And you've done all that work mentally, but actually, what are you doing for yourself physically? You're just yourself back. So a lot of what I explain to my, female clients is find something that you enjoy. If you don't like going to the gym, do something else of interest. If you like yoga or Pilates or something else, do something. I did kickboxing for 2 years as I was growing up. This was over 20 years ago now, but since the age of 4, I've been into dance, and that was my thing. And then I grew up and I graduated in a dance, a degree, a diploma. I traveled with it. I became a dance performer, an instructor. I still teach now once a week. And that to me is like that's my treat, if that makes sense, where I go and I teach people the art of Bollywood dancing. but also you work up a sweat during the session, you know, and it's a beginner class, so it's not too strenuous. But I grew up doing that. And even at home, sometimes I'll whack music on and I'll have a workout, or I'll do a yoga session, or I'll wake up and I cook and I dance in my kitchen. You know, I dance around my lounge. And again, it's something that I enjoy, but I'm still getting that fun from it. And a lot of women will say, you know, a gym membership is too expensive, or I can't afford it. You know, I really hate working out. I've got a gym membership, but I only go once a week. And I'm like, all right, what do you enjoy doing? Oh, actually, I do like salsa. Right, join a salsa class. Do it at home. You know, you and your partner, you're in your lounge, have a dance workout together. So there's lots of other things that women can do to get their fitness up. And I mean, I've never joined a gym. I've never signed up to a gym. I've used machines, yes, and used things when my friends have said, come, it's a free pass. I'm like, okay, let me see what this is about. And again, for me, it's not something that I think I get a lot of joy from. What do I love doing? I love dancing. I'm working everything. So there are certain ways and means, but I think it all starts with what would I enjoy doing more? And if it is that I do like working out at the gym, I need to find a routine that's going to be right for me and be consistent with it. And that's the mental block that's stopping a lot of people.
Yeah, I absolutely love everything that you've just mentioned there. And yeah, I think that's massively important, especially if we want to attract, you know, the best, right? And we want this guy and we want him to look fit and whatever. We need to work on ourselves. But again, a lot of this, it's not just the physical. Working on the physical actually changes who you are. You're working on rituals, you're building habits, you're changing your mindset, you're changing your motivation. And this stuff will help build who you are in so many other ways when it comes to like career, relationships as well, your confidence, how you show up around your friends. And that's another thing. Your friendship groups, as we get older, they do change and they evolve. And if your friends are all into exactly the same thing as you need to find new friends, because sitting on the sofa and curling up, look, that's okay to do on occasion. But when that becomes the only thing that you do and you just sit and you consume, we're not exercising our brains in any way. We're not allowing, you know, the gut as well. When we think about that, eating junk food constantly, it makes you feel miserable. You're not going to feel confident. Like, and again, it's not just to say that, oh, we've got to become these like slender women. Like you can be a larger, you know, a bigger framed woman and go and exercise, be it dance, be it the gym, but feel so confident and strong in that, because it's not just the physical that it works on up here as well. And I just think it's just such a good way to live life. And maybe because we're in it and we know what it does for us. But as soon as I start, you know, like thinking about new goals and working towards new goals, like I had like this pull-up goal, let's say, for example, and I was just nailing it and just really not being very good at it at first. And I used to be very good at them. I let them go. And you kind of get into doing the things that you like in the gym, not really challenging yourself. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to make this my 6-month goal. You know, at the time I was like, yeah, I'm 40 next year and I want to achieve this and I want to make it my thing. And I can't tell you how many other things have just got better as a result. You know, I feel like I'm showing up better as a coach as well. Like just being able to work on something that you don't always feel like doing, for example, and you don't always feel great at, but it's a different sense of achievement. And so be it women in the gym or like dancing or exercising in any way, knowing that you can nail that routine and you've got the endurance and the capacity to kind of like think on your feet and move and dance and feel free. And let's say even in yoga, getting into positions that you feel like you're more pliable and more flexible to do, and you feel stronger. In the gym, being able to like hip thrust more, or being able to like nail your squats, or you know, get the pull-ups down, or whatever it is, being able to like just move. That's what we were made to do as humans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it teaches, for me, it teaches something that if I'm like that and I attract that person, that's a life that we're going to live together.
Yeah.
But working on your physical fitness shows me that you really value yourself, you value your health, you value what you do with your time, what you put into your body, and how you use your body. Like, that to me is attractiveness in itself. And it's got nothing to do with like how you look. It's just knowing that you do something that works on you. You're working on your well-being. And if you're sitting down in the sofa curled up every night, it's binge Netflix, it's consuming junk food, like that, I don't know, it's just not, it might feel great in the moment, but I mean, really, is there any growth in that? Is there any growth in your mindset with just being a consumer, whether that's what you're eating or what you're watching, or yeah. So there's just so much really that I feel like that world, you know, this fitness world builds on in terms of that. And yeah, I mean, anything else to add on in terms of like the fitness side of things from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, you've got all these kind of like quick fixes. So like you said, for, you know, as an example with the junk food, and you know, you said it might feel great at the time, but that's only because it's instant gratification, right? It's not longevity. You're not working towards something to get better long-term results. You're doing the quick fix thing. And I think, especially in my industry as well, I often see it as, say, for example, lots of people that are swiping on these dating apps, they're on that because it's mass population, it's a quick fix for what they're looking for. So when I speak to them and I say, right, what are we, you know, what do you want to do? Let's start from the beginning. And again, a lot of women will say, you know, yeah, he's attractive, which is why I swipe, but I'm not getting swiped as much. And again, that could be because she might not feel her best, or she might not be looking her best, or she might not have her best pictures there. However, again, like you said, it all starts from in here. If a woman is naturally going to say to herself on a daily basis, you know, I'm not working out, I'm not feeling good, I am just sitting on my couch, I'm not doing anything, I'm not investing in me to be the best version of me, then what's going to happen? You're going to drive that behavior and get those results. Instead of saying, I need to face that challenge, I need to come out of this, you know, of this lull of, I'll go to the gym tomorrow, or I'll eat healthy tomorrow, or I'll do salads for a week. Again, it's instant fixes that people tend to look for. And I think, I mean, with yourself, I'm sure you've also got clients that you have programs with, you know, that you set them up from day one and they have that end goal. It's the same for me. It's having that deadline to say, right, we've got a couple of months now. This is the mindset frame that I want you to work on. This is how I want you to do things, either journal things, or, you know, you know, send me a gratitude message, or text one person from your life every day. Just do new things that are going to be different for you. But again, it's like you said, as soon as everything up here slots into place and you own it, because you can have it here, but if you don't own it, what happens? That's the beginning. So, I mean, just again, touching on what you said, what you put into your body and into your mind, what you consume is what you then become.
Yeah.
Which is why the environment that you're in, if you live in a house where you're hoarding stuff, get rid of it, because it's going to be messy in here. If you have a group of friends, like you said, who are gossips or not giving you the right vibes or not having the right energy, get rid. And again, a lot of people will often say to me, you know, I had this circle of friends, or I had this bad environment in my workplace, but I've now left that. Great. What's the next trauma that they have to go through? Sticking to that decision and not going backwards. And again, it's the same thing with the fitness journey. I think, you know, if you're waking up 3 days a week and you're saying, right, I'm determined rather to do this today. I've got the discipline there. I'm going to work out for an hour, and I'm doing 3 days this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let's go. Monday comes, you know, I'll start it tomorrow. It's fine. You let yourself down. It's yourself that's going to be paying for it later. So yeah, 100% agree with you. You know, you've got to consume the right things for you. And don't get me wrong, I have my Netflix days when it is a Sunday afternoon, but I've done a workout in the morning. I've cleaned my apartment. I've done some work. I've done my calls, and I lay down for an hour and I think, this is nice because I've done all the work to now reward this.
Yes. Yeah. And it's not something that you're doing all day, every day, you know. Again, so when we think about sort of like the 9 to 5 struggle or hustle, if you like, you know, or even actually women that are business leaders themselves, that although they are, maybe they own a business or they're in a very sort of high powered role, they are stretched. There's so much going on, and they're using their spare time to just feed themselves crap. Like, it's not going to help with their sleep, especially even watching Netflix and stuff and doing it every single night before bed. You're not allowing yourself to truly rest and to truly switch off and sleep, get proper sleep. And sleep, again, is going to be so important for all our you know, to making us feel set up for the next day, and even controlling things like your hunger, for example, and your happiness. Love a good sleep, right? But I think the thing is that when you are just sticking to those sort of poor habits, those poor rituals, and you're having the same people in your life that are maybe even like judging you, bringing you down, it's not helping you grow. And if you want this new life and you want this partner, and that's not going to happen unless you start working on yourself, and whatever aspect that is, or however that looks. And I'm another thing as well, like with the journaling and the gratitude and stuff, these are things, again, that can really help strengthen who you are mentally and emotionally as well. Being reflective, being having the ability to actually criticize yourself in a way that you can make improvements as well. Absolutely. Not criticizing yourself, because I think this is the thing, when people do feel unconfident, they criticize themselves and they do nothing about it. So it's actually critiquing and going, right, again, this is like mental maturity, really, being in having that mindset to know, do you know what, this is where I am right now, I'm doing this shit and I need to be better at X. Like, you're just going to find that you've got so much time as well. It's going to give you so much time in your life. You're going to have the time to see people. And yeah, I don't know, there's just, it's all encompassing in terms of, it's just like a wholesome vibe of just working, you know, fueling yourself adequately, mentally and nutritionally, exercising in a way that you enjoy, that feels good to you. It's just only going to bring better things your way.
100%. Spot on, exactly what you just said there. I also think as well that, you know, a lot of people that go through a journey within themselves, like you said, and they lose that confidence within themselves. I often challenge especially my female clients, and I say to them, when you look at yourself in the mirror, tell me how you feel. And again, there's lots of different answers from this. And then the one question I ask all of my clients, actually men and women, is if you look in the mirror and the person that is looking back at you is someone that you would be in a relationship with, then you're on the right path. You're doing the right thing. However, if you look at yourself and you say, actually, this is not someone that I would want to be with, this is not somebody that I'd even be friends with, this is not somebody that I would take advice from, then you've got to change that game. And that's the reality. Often a lot of people will feel that way about them, because what do people do more so than anything? Look for the criticism, they look for the negative. It's really hard for people to look at themselves and say, actually, I like who I'm looking at. I like who I am. And this is the level of standard that I'm going to bring to a relationship for another man or another woman, because this is who I am. And again, I'm owning it. And so whether you're size 6 or you're a size 14, but you're happy because you're happy in here and you're doing all the right things to have that level of life that you want, and you're content with that, and you're doing everything, you know, daily, you're doing all the right things basically, and you look at yourself and the response that you get is yes, 100%, I'm happy, then you know that you're on the right path.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, definitely. So I guess finally I wanted to ask you as well about maybe some client sort of testimonials or people that you've worked with, and how, again, bringing it back to fitness and transforming themselves in terms of their confidence and helping them get through that like relationship, that dating process. How have you found them? I don't know, like give me an example of a like transformation that you've had with a client where you've really done that deep work.
Sure. I would say one of my clients, I started coaching her quite a few months ago now, and she was going to a speed dating event. But what usually happens at these events is that you turn up, you have a 3 minute thing with, majority of people. I've never done a speed dating thing, but I've heard lots of stories. But again, it's mass population. That's just not how I work. So anyway, you go around the room and you meet different people, and then they have a meet and greet at the end of it. And she'd been signed up for a few months, and she would always leave at the meet and greet part of the evening. So she'd be there for an hour. She'd pay over the odds, for a ticket, and she'd always leave early. And I'd say to her, what was the problem? You've already met these people. Now it's just having a drink at the bar, or it's just socially speaking. It's doing exactly what you did. You're just not doing it on a time frame. And she said it's because they'll have more time to analyze me. And I didn't want to be around that. Yeah. So again, my next question was, right, what are they analyzing? What is it that you think they're thinking about you? So let's look at different things. And she had spoken to herself. Again, what you tell yourself is what you become. And because it was such negative self-talk, a lot of it was, I am a larger lady. I haven't had success on dating sites. So now the next thing is to meet people in reality, in real life, do the speed dating thing. But when it comes to the meeting and greeting and socializing and having that drink, her anxiety really came up, because it all came back to, again, how she felt about herself and how she looked. And I said to her, would you often have men interested you at these events? Yeah. So what's the problem? You're already having men saying that you're beautiful, you're attractive, they want to date you, they want to take you out. Where's the actual mental block here? Is it from them or is it from you? Yeah, it's from me, because I don't believe it myself. So again, a lot of my work that I do, it's finding that self-belief, especially with my female clients, because again, it's a lot harder as a woman when you're sat in a bar with 20 supermodel lookalikes, let's say, and you're the one that you feel like you're the odd one out, and don't get me wrong, I often look at women when I'm out and I think, wow, she's really attractive. She really looks after herself. And then I start looking at myself. Well, I'm not happy with this. I should have worked out a bit longer. I shouldn't have had those donuts yesterday. There's all these things that you start questioning. And then I think, actually, no, that's not my vibe here. She looks how she looks because that's how she wants to look. That's what she's happy with. I'm happy with how I look. So, but again, it's a journey. It's a process. I don't wake up every day eating junk and think it's fine. I don't need to do anything. It's a lot of hard work. So again, with her, I helped her in saying, look, the next event that you go to, just stay for even 15 minutes. Let's do it snippets at a time. So she went back, she did 15 minutes. I got a text from her, oh, I did 15 minutes. I feel really good. Okay, great. When's the next one? In a while. Okay. When you go back now, you're going to do an hour. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. So we added a bit more time as we went along. And from that, her confidence just boosted. She's now wearing dresses that she never would wear before. She's now doing things on a daily basis where she's saying, I am attractive. I'm looking in the mirror and I like it. I'm making small progression. I'm taking small steps, but I'm getting to that, that long-term result in my mind, because this is what I need to work towards. So there are still transformations in progress, if that makes sense. However, the fact that someone was so anxious in being in an environment where she was questioning herself, she's owning that. And she's saying, actually, I'm going to change this and I'm going to make it better.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really lovely to hear, actually, that you've taken her again from a place where, and you've really unpicked, actually, that it was more about her than what other people were thinking. And that's really the fear. When we think about how we're perceived, it's usually a reflection of what we believe of ourselves, because other people will have their opinions and we don't know what they are. We've no idea. And it really doesn't matter what their opinions are half the time, if I'm honest. Like, again, as long as you feel confident in yourself and you can own who you are, you can own your personality, your hobbies, your confidence. And really just like back yourself. That's what matters more than anything. I'll tell you something that's really interesting. You mentioned the speed dating thing. And I don't know if I told you about this, Jess.
I don't think you have.
Okay. So I'm going back a few years. I worked for a singles company
Okay.
Yeah, ages ago, just like pop-up events. So like someone that did this like speed dating thing. And yeah, it was interesting because like hearing you talk about that, I was like, oh, I remember being like the game host. I remember like ringing the bell to say you can change the seats, and then like having some of the guys, for example, talking and going like, I really want to speak to this girl, like, you know, so giving some of that advice. And yeah, no, just really interesting hearing about that. And I was reminded about it recently because a friend of mine who has now found a partner, she was looking on some of these dating sites and my picture showed up as like an advert. And I was like, oh my God, talk about throwback. How hilarious is this?
I love that.
I was like, if you like, a model where we had, you know, they kind of paired us up for some pictures for the website and stuff. But yeah, that was really, really funny. But yeah, she's found someone. And it's so interesting because she is really into her health, her fitness, her nutrition, like working out. And she has found someone that she really, really likes. They get on very well. She's attracted to him, but there's been a few roadblocks in this person because yes, they are a high earner, but unfortunately for you know, the person that she's seeing, he's in such a stressful job that he's failing to take care of himself. And that's what's really interesting, is although she's willing to give him the chance, they've had a few ups and downs because he's just not sleeping properly. There's like, you know, binging on, you know, there might be sort of alcohol involved, and then it's like being lazy the next day, and it's just ordering takeaways all the time because they've got the money to do so. But this guy's still young and they're just not owning their health as well. This guy's like early 40s and they're just not owning their health, and it's had an impact on the way that their relationship has gone so far. So yeah, we've had the conversation, me and her, and I think it's the tough conversation that she's had to have with him about looking after himself, because that's the thing as well, Jess. You know, we're older, and if we are talking about women or men that are older and that come to see you, there needs to be a long game in terms of their health and fitness. So it's not just about pulling the person in and being attracted to them and them having an amazing personality, and yes, maybe they look good, but even when you are in that relationship, continuing to look after yourself, because it's respect for you, but it's also respect that the life that you're choosing to live with the other person. Because we you know, I know that when I'm like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, I still want to feel good. I want to feel, you know, maybe I'll be retired at that age of no idea. We don't know what age retirement's going to happen, but you want to be in a position where you enjoy active retirement and you're not just sat on the sofa taking pills, you know, because unfortunately our health can take a hit as we get older naturally. Again, even if you are involved in fitness, you do look after yourself. There are things, I'll always remind you, there are things that can happen that we have no control over. But what we can control, I feel like we owe it to ourselves to try and keep on top of. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it's right what you said, you know, when you're 60, 70, 80, you still want to be able to be active. But I also think it's not just about the kind of motivation or, you know, impacting your kind of life and your journey with the partner that you're with. I think a lot of it also has to do in regards to what you're also inspired by. I mean, I've mentioned him already, but my dad is somebody that has taught me so much from such a young age. And he's somebody that I look to and I'm inspired by him. Because again, you know, I've seen the struggles that, you know, him and my mum kind of went through raising three girls. And I don't mean financial struggles. I mean the struggles of building a family and, you know, shutting out the noise and just focusing on their home and being in an environment where we were loved, we were nurtured, we played, we had fun. And, you know, I'm quite an affectionate person. So my love language is often the cuddles and it's the hugs. And that's, you know, I was conditioned that way, right? But I do also have friends and family that are very anti-touch and don't understand that and don't get why it's such an important thing in a relationship. And again, those are separate hurdles from what you're also bringing to a relationship. You know, if you're paired with somebody or you're with somebody that their love language, like you said, it's maybe financial, it's money, or it's material things, and it's not just saying something nice, or it's not giving that affection, there can often be blocks again in that scenario. But again, I also think that because of my dad, because he's still so fit in terms of physical activity in his 70s, I shouldn't be complaining that I can't do 5 more squats in my workout. I shouldn't be complaining that I can't walk, you know, instead of getting a bus or getting the tube. I should not be complaining, because here's a man who's worked all his entire life, who's still playing hockey, whose health, touch wood, is, you know, still in check, but he's doing it because he's had that discipline from such a young age. And he still did it when people said, you need to stop now. The amount of injuries he's had during hockey, the amount of knee problems he's had, his jaw's been dislocated, his nose, all of this stuff, you know, it's brutal out there. You think it's a hockey game, it's a friendly match, it's going to be fine. It's vicious. These are men with balls and sticks. Like, what's, you know, what more, you know, danger could you be in? But every time he's had that fall, he's picked himself up and he said, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep playing. This is who I am, and it's in me. And I think if it wasn't for him being that way, I wouldn't have felt the same about dance. I wouldn't have gone through doing rehearsals at 6 a.m., catching a flight, going to a performance, crying in the dressing room because I'm forgetting stuff, because I'm sleep deprived. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I sit and I think, right, think about why you're doing this, Jess. What is it? It's the love that you have for it. It's the passion. And every performance I've had, I see my dad there being my biggest critic, saying, your arm line isn't straight. You should have spun a bit quicker. You should have, you know, you should have done this move a little bit more different. And I think that again comes from his martial arts background. You know, he's very much about what things look like and how things should flow. So again, yeah, I think it's people, I think will help them if they have an inspiration and have something else to look to and think, not that I want to be like that person, but actually I'm looking to this person and I have a lot of respect for what this person has done. Why can't I do that for myself?
Yeah.
You know, why can't I change the game for me? And why can't, if that person's not going to inspire me, why am I not inspiring myself to do it? You know?
Yeah, definitely. I hear you on that. And I think, I think it's really important to have those people to look up to. And do you know what? It brings me back to, I think, one of the reasons why women have struggled for so long. You and I have clearly come from fitness backgrounds. I saw my granddad and my dad being very active. So maybe there's a bit of that in there. And I think maybe it just suited my personality that I was just always into fitness. So you were a dancer, I was a gymnast. And what's interesting is a lot of the women that you and I are helping have not had that influential person in their lives. And I think that's what makes it hard. Being female as well. If you have a look at the women in our culture, they're not, maybe things are changing now, but they were not athletic, they were not out exercising, they were not taking care of their health. They were always living to serve everybody else. And I look at my gran and my mum and I see the same thing. Like they weren't doing enough for themselves. They weren't being the women that we needed, because it's the same thing for me. And I look at the men in my life and go, wow, yeah, I need to be like that. Like that's those are my inspirations. And it's unfortunate. And yes, I've got my lovely, my caring and my loving side from the females in my family that I've looked up to, but there's never been anyone that I can look up to and go, wow, she's older, she's killing it, unless it's a stranger, unless it's someone I've seen in the gym. And I'm just like, yes, that needs to be me. And I will go up to them and totally tell them. I saw this like man and woman in the gym, and they were definitely older. They both had like graying hair, but they were both so athletic looking, training together and pushing themselves, and they had to have been in their 70s. And I just remember I went up to her in the change rooms and I was like, look, that was you working out with your husband, right? She's like, yeah. Like, your goals. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. She's like, yeah, we've just always done it. So I love that. But yeah, I think it's been tough for South Asian women, maybe not the younger generation. I think the 20-year-olds and stuff, I think they're having an easier time now, but certainly for women of our age and older, it's been tough for them because they've never really had that role model, and they've never been encouraged. They've never been encouraged to say, you need to stay fit and work on your health and fitness. Never in a sense of, you know, this is good for you because it's good for your health, or this is going to set you up mentally. There's never been that. It's always been like, you know, study and learn some good cooking skills. I'm pretty sure my gran was like, you know, you've got this man now, you need to make sure you cook for him. Yeah. It's like, what? No, make him some food. I'm like, what? No, we eat differently. Like for us, food, if we're going to eat together, we actually just go out to eat, but we eat our own food because we have different we have different tastes or different food eating habits. He's an omnivore. I'm actually a vegan, so we definitely don't eat the same food, and we've got different like fitness goals as well. I don't try and eat like him, he doesn't try and eat like me, but we always try and make it work when we go out to eat. And we work very different schedules as well, so like how we're never home for dinner at the same time is bizarre, but that's just how it is. And you know what, it works really, really well for us that when we do have our time together, we really enjoy it. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of really wrap things up with you, Jess. I've really loved having you on board today. Is there anything else that you kind of want to like finish on that's just like inspirational, and yeah, just to try and help motivate women to really work on themselves and to have fitness as part of that?
Absolutely. I mean, firstly, again, thank you for having me. It's been really nice to speak to you on a deeper level. I think I understand you a bit better now, but also learning about you as well. And I think you're incredible at what you do. So, you know, hats off to you. I think lots of women are going to be inspired by yourself and kind of, you know, what you do for them. But yeah, to anyone listening, I think, again, it's a journey, and it all starts with asking yourself that question daily. It's what I do. You know, how am I going to make a difference to my life or someone else's life today? How am I going to impact? How am I going to want to leave that legacy behind in 30 years? Who's going to remember me, sort of thing? But also, you know, what do I want to do today that's going to make me feel better tomorrow? You know, if I am doing a workout, add in something for an extra 30 seconds, improve. It's small increments that are going to get you to longevity and great results in your life, whether that's a physical thing that you want to do or a mental thing that you're doing. But I also think that it's just really important to know that there are people like us that have also had a journey throughout our lives. And the reason that we've chosen this path is because we want to be powerful. We want to be owning who we are as women. We want to be those women that do leave other women inspired. You know, we want to be that impact to say, look, we're living social proof of how you can have the life that you want. And I'm a big believer of creating a life that you never want to take a vacation from. So I'm going to leave it on that note today. Next time you're a woman who's struggling at work, or you're cooking, looking after your kids, or you're just tired and you say, oh, I need a holiday. You don't. You need the opportunity to create the life where you say to yourself, I want to go away because I don't have a beach on my front doorstep. However, I'm not running away from anything because I need to. You know, so design the life, create the life that you want, where you never have to escape from it, because it's your bubble, it's your world, and you're creating something for yourself that you want to leave for future generations. So when people look you up in 50 years, you're going to be an inspiration to them because you took the plunge to do something different. You took that first step to be the best version of you. And remember, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. So you've got to have patience. You've got to be resilient. And more so than anything, you've got to love yourself and own it and own who you are.
I absolutely love that. Just everything that you've said on this podcast today. Like, I've really, really enjoyed listening to you. There's definitely been a lot of value, great insight to who you are as a coach as well, a mentor, because I can definitely see that in you. And yeah, you're working in a space where people need you. You know, you are valuable and you're needed. And I feel like you've just got so much to offer, and I can see that like already. I love that you live speak and breathe your own fitness as well. You look after yourself because you're leading by example. And yeah, so again, if anyone wants to reach out to Jess, how can they find you?
So you can find my website, which is www.you'vemetyourmatch.com. I am also all over Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. I've also published a book in January 2023, which again was about my kind of life story, what I've learned, what experiences I've been through, the journey of how I became a dancer. So there's lots of information about that, my journey of being married, being divorced, going traveling. So yeah, there's lots in there. That is available also on Amazon, and it's called Author of Authentic.
Love that. Thank you so much, Jess. I can't wait to actually connect with you again on another level, because I've just really enjoyed today. I know that my listeners have as well. For those of you that have been listening and you've just stumbled across this podcast, this is the Girl Boss Method. You can find me, Ritu Bra, on Instagram at Ritu Bra, and we'll see you here next time. Thank you.